My print farm is growing, going from 6 to 8 printers in total, and I thought I'd take this opportunity to test out a different printer from Bambu Lab. This time around, I purchased two P1S printers, which is essentially a P1P with sides and a few more features, but we'll get into that in a bit. In this video, I want to take you through unboxing this machine, how to set it up, and finishing with the differences between the P1S and the P1P, so stay tuned and check it out. Alright, so unboxing. This machine is packaged extremely well with plenty of bubble padding and styrofoam to ensure that this would be protected during shipping. Once you open the top of the box and remove some of the packaging, you'll notice that the plastic wrap is taped to the two flaps at the side of the box, with instructions to use this as a handle to lift the printer up and out of the box. And as I mentioned in the P1P unboxing video, it may seem kinda trivial, but small details like this can really reveal a lot about a company. If they took the time to make the unpackaging experience that much better, it suggests that they invested effort into creating a quality product. With that being said, save the box just in case you have to send it back for repairs. Once I had the printer out of the box, I could cut away the plastic and start removing some of the other packaging material, including the film on the glass top and door. Tucked in the middle of the printer is a box that contains a partial spool of PLA filament, along with a few items that we'll need for assembling and some spare parts. They even include some additional parts for projects that are preloaded on the printer. Reaching through the front door, I'll remove the two styrofoam pieces on top of the build plate, and tucked inside was a little project kit that I could make. This one looks like a small lamp. Pretty cool. With the glass top removed, I removed the styrofoam from the poop chute, clipped off the zip tie holding the printer head secure, removed the cardboard, and removed the tape holding the front of the printer head in place. Oh, and the tape on the filter cover. Moving up to the top, I removed the tape from the screen wiring and the tape holding the micro SD card in place. Then I removed the screen from the packaging and plugged the cable into it. Note which way the cable lines up on the back of the screen and plug it in. With the cable plugged in, bend the cable back on itself, slide the hooks of the screen straight into the corresponding holes on the printer, and then slide the screen to the left until it snaps into place. With the printer turned around, I could install the spool holder. The box contains the spool holder, Allen wrench, and the screws needed to do so. I started by removing this single screw. With that out of the way, I installed the spool holder using the two screws labeled as such, and simply feeding the Allen wrench through the spool holder and securing it in place. Super simple. On the P1P, this is where I'd install the PTFE tube, but that's already installed and connected to the cable chain for the P1S, one of the added features between the two. The build plate is secured in place during shipment with these three screws. We'll use the provided Allen wrench to remove them. Lastly, find the power cable from the accessory box, plug it in, and flip the switch on. Now I had to make some room for these new P1Ss by moving some filament over and then shifting the UPS to the other side of the shelf. So I run 3 printers through a single 1500 VA rated UPS, which would keep the printers running for a bit should the power go out. Luckily, this has only happened once for a few seconds, but if you're running a farm, whether big or small, a UPS is a necessity in my opinion. With the printer in place, I flipped the switch on and ran it through its startup sequence. It's going to ask you to make sure that you remove the 3 screws from the build plate, and then it will have you set up an account on the Bambu Handy app and Wi-Fi if you desire. This is all pretty straightforward. Then it will ask you to run the self-calibration test, so hit yes and watch as it goes through a bunch of different vibrations and calibrations just to get this printer all dialed in. This part took longer than it did to assemble the thing, but you don't have to do anything other than removing the remaining styrofoam under the print bed. There might be new firmware to install as well, so if that pops up on screen, click yes to update to the latest. Once the calibration is complete, you can load up some filament by feeding it through the PTFE tube and finding load on the menu screen. With the filament loaded, you can either print a preloaded project from the screen or load your own file and print it. Since I trust these machines and had to catch up on a bunch of orders, I just sent my print through on the Handy app and started printing. In my experience, the Handy app has been totally amazing. A lot of the times I'll be at work when I get a notification that a print is finished, so I'll just text my wife to clear off the build plate, and then I'll simply go to the print history and start another print. It's super awesome and convenient. Alright, and finally, let's dive into the upgrades with the P1S compared to the P1P. One of the standout features is obviously this fully enclosed printing chamber, which not only keeps everything tidy, but also helps maintain a stable temperature for your printing. And when it comes to cooling, you've got an auxiliary part cooling fan that focuses on cooling your prints, ensuring better detail and finish. There's also a chamber regulator fan to keep the inner chamber temperature just right, plus a control board fan to help cool down the control board itself. Along with all that, it's got an active carbon filter, so if you're printing more harmful filaments like ABS, it can filter out some of those unpleasant odors and harmful gases. And lastly, it's got this upgraded cable chain that routes the wiring and the PTFE tube alongside of it, so it just really keeps those things in check. And after testing the P1S and the P1P, I do recommend spending a little bit more to get the P1S. The print quality seems to be a bit better. I'm assuming this is due to the more controlled environment around the printer. The P1S is quieter, has a few added features, and it looks a little bit more legit than its naked cousin.